Hi, welcome back to the kitchen. Today I'm making a wonderful roast pork shoulder with wilted bok choy and a homemade mango chutney. So what I want to do first is get the pork into the oven. So what I've got here is a boneless piece of pork shoulder. I just got the butcher to tie it with a wee bit of string just to keep it tied together, but I have got it boneless. You could have the bone in and carve around the bone, but I find boneless is much better. So what we want to do to that is we actually want to season it up with some salt and pepper. So both sides, and if you want to try and get a wee bit of the skin to crackle up, then just massage a wee bit of salt into that skin, and that's going to help get the skin crispy. And then we want to put a wee bit of cracked pepper on top, and then just a wee bit of oil. Not too much, just a little drizzle that we're just going to rub into that top part, because there is going to be the fat come out of the actual pork, so that's actually going to help keep it moist as well. So it's going to go into a hot oven. We want that to go in at around about 200 degrees to begin with, and then as it starts to cook we can reduce the temperature if we need to. We want to get that skin nicely crisped off. So it's going to go into our oven. And what we want to do is start on our chutney. So basically what I've got is some water on first. So I've got my water boiling ready for my bok choy. So I'm just going to have that on a low simmer, and then we actually want to work on our mango chutney. So basically we've got a pot on the stove. We want a medium to high heat for that, and into that first is going to go some oil. So in goes the oil. In my containers here I've got the ingredients for our chutney. So the first thing I'm going to put in is some red onion. So I just want to basically dice the red onion. It doesn't have to be too perfect because it is going to be a chutney, so it is actually going to caramelise down and be nice and thick, but you don't want big chunks of onion. So just a reasonable dice would be fine. Get rid of a few of those chunky bits off the end. So in goes our red onion. Now to that we're going to add some fresh ginger, and you can use your spoon if you've seen the trick on TV with the celebrity chef. So you just take your spoon and you just basically peel the ginger with the spoon. So you can see how you're just basically running the end of the spoon across the top of the ginger, and the skin just comes away. Easy as that. If you've got a little piece that's still there, we're just going to slice that little knob out of the way, and then we can start slicing our ginger. Now the more ginger you want or the less ginger, again it's going to be a personal preference. You could grate it, you could just use the stuff out of the jars, you could even use your microplane if you wanted to, but I still want a wee bit of texture in there, so I'm just going to roughly chop that down. And again that's going to go in with our onion. And we just want to sweat that off. Then we're going to add some lemongrass. Now I'm just using the jarred lemongrass. I mean you can buy fresh, but it's not really readily available all year round. So this is just out of the jar, which just does the trick just as well. So in goes our lemongrass. Into that we're going to put our red chilli paste. So you can see we're building up some sort of Asian type flavours. We've got our ginger, we've got our lemongrass, we've got our chilli. Now what's going is some tamarind paste. Now you can buy tamarind pulp, but you can actually now buy the paste in a jar. So if you want that flavour of tamarind to come through, then pop that in. If you can't buy the tamarind paste or you can't find it, you can leave it out. So we're sweating those off. While that's doing its thing, I'm going to move just onto our bok choy. So I've got a wonderful bok choy, or any of your Asian greens would be fine. Pak choy, choy sum, any of those. What I want to do is just cut the end off, but still keeping everything intact. And then I want to split it down the middle. Now sometimes, as you can see, it gets a wee bit wilted in the centre, so you just want to pull out those leaves that are a wee bit brown. And sometimes there can be a lot of dirt that gets trapped in the leaves, so sometimes you need to give it a good wash, but this looks actually pretty good to me. So I'm going to pop that into my boiling salted water. You can steam them if you like, if you've got a steamer, or just pop them into the water. So back to our mango relish. What goes in now is our diced mango. Now mangoes are in season at the moment, but if you want to make this out of season, the tinned ones are just as fine. To that, to get our actual chutney type going, we've got our brown sugar, and then we've got 125 mils of white wine vinegar. Now if you didn't have white wine vinegar, just white vinegar would be fine. I wouldn't use malt vinegar though. Now what we want to do now is we want to bring that back to the boil, and then we want to simmer it for at least a good 15-20 minutes until it actually reduces down and forms into a chutney type consistency. So after about that 15 or 20 minutes, here's the consistency we're actually ending up with. So it's that nice chutney consistency. If you were going to bottle it, you could put it into jars and bottle it, or just keep it in an airtight sealed container and keep it in your fridge and pull it out and use it as you need to. So we've just about got all our components ready to go. Now the relish could be served, or sorry, I should say the chutney, not relish, could be served hot or cold, just depending on what you like. And our bok choy is doing its thing nicely there. We want to still keep it nice and green. So we'll look at our pork. So here's our nice shoulder of pork. So we can see we've got a nice wee bit of crackling starting to happen on the outside, so we'll transfer that onto our board, and then just a matter now of carving the pork. So this would be a great dish that you could do as a individual plated dish, or you could actually do it as a nice platter. So your friends coming around, you could do 3 or 4 or 5 bok choy on the base, put your pork on top, and then put your mango chutney on top of that. Got a few slices that have got the outside skin as well. So what we want to do now is basically build up our dish. So I'm going to strain off our water from our bok choy. I think we'll just put one of those on the plate. So down goes our bok choy. On goes our wonderful roast pork shoulder. And then you could either put your chutney into a little side dish, and that's what I'm going to do, or you could actually spoon the chutney over the top. So again, depending on your guests, you'll know whether they're really into the chilli or those sort of hot ingredients, or you might want to put it as a side, so then they can actually, we'll just do a wee bit of a rejig. You'll know whether they are going to actually like the intense heat of that chilli and those Asian sort of flavours, or as I've done there, is put it on the side and then they can spoon it on at their leisure. So there is our roast pork shoulder, wilted bok choy, and our homemade mango chutney.